What is up, you guys? I apologize that I look like a hot mess, like always. I just got off of work not too long ago, so mama is tired. So this is a very requested video. A lot of people have been asking me what I use for my eyebrows, how I shape my eyebrows, this, and this. So this video is gonna be strictly eyebrows. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing that you wanna do when it comes to eyebrows is you wanna make sure that you are shaping them. So if that means that you have to grow your eyebrows out and it has to look a little bit bushy, then by all means, let that happen. I went through a period in my life, just like I feel like everyone else did, where I over-tweezed my eyebrows. But you want to make sure you don't do that. Lay off the tweezers, let them grow out a little bit, and then you're going to be able to get that desired shape that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom you guys in just a little bit. Actually, a lot of it. Alright, so first things first, like I said, you are going to want to shape them. So mine are already in their desired shape. I do have a little bit of stray hairs here and there because I don't like to pluck them all the time. But what you're gonna wanna do is like I said, you're gonna wanna let your eyebrows grow out as much as possible. That way you can shape them. If your eyebrows are already thick, you really don't have to do too much to them. So what I like to do is I like to brush through my hairs like this. I'm gonna demonstrate a little bit for you guys what I like to do when it comes to shaping. So I'll go ahead and brush through them like that. And then I like to take a razor. Now I know that this gets a little bit scary to some people because you don't want to shave your face. There's this tale that, you know, you shave your face and the hairs come back darker. Well, it's not true. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take one of these very flat razors like this. You can get these pretty much anywhere at your local drugstore. You can get them on Amazon. That's where I bought this one. So you're gonna take it and you're just gonna want to very lightly shape. Let me actually just get a mirror. I should probably not do it free-handed. So you're gonna take the shaver and you're going to just shave very lightly, and you're gonna get all those loose hairs. This is gonna be a lot quicker and a lot more efficient than taking a tweezer to your eyebrow. So you're going to want to just get that desired shape with the little shaver. And then afterwards, it is a little bit scary going underneath your brow with the shaver. I like to take it just in the front with these little hairs right here and ever so gently shave them off. And then with the ones that are over here, I like to tweeze these ones because it can get a little bit tricky and I don't want to shave my whole eyebrow off. So I'm just gonna take these tweezers. You can buy them pretty much anywhere. These ones to me are the best. They're like flat like this and they're a little bit more wide. It makes it easier to actually grab the brow hair. So let me actually zoom in or sit up a little bit closer to you guys. So I'm just gonna take the tweezers and get any of the little stray hairs that are on the edge of my brow on this side. Now, if you're telling yourself, I don't know what kind of shape I want, I don't know what kind of shape would be good for my face, there are a few different brands out there like Anastasia and Benefit that have the stencils that you can use for your brows. So you'll pretty much just take the stencil to your face and then you'll go ahead and fill your brow in, and then in the areas where you didn't fill it in, you'll obviously shave or tweeze or wax, whatever is gonna be good for you. So the next thing that I like to do is once I've shaved and once I've tweezed, I like to make sure that my brow hairs aren't too long because it makes application, like pencil application and powder application, it makes it a little bit harder when your brows are a little bit longer. So I like to, and by all means, if you want to skip this step, you can go ahead and do that. I like to go ahead and brush through my brows again, just like I did in the beginning. And I just trimmed my brows not too long ago, so there's not too many long hairs. But I'll just take a pair of scissors like this. These are eyebrow scissors, you can buy them anywhere. And I'm just gonna go ahead and cut very gently. You don't wanna cut too much off because it will come out very wonky. any of the super long hairs. And then that's that. There's not a lot of hairs on my brow right now because I did just, I fixed them up a little bit not too long ago. But you'll see once you start combing through your brows, if you just push them up like this, you'll see all of the little stray hairs, and then you'll be able to cut them from that point. Alright, so this next step is going to be where we actually fill in our brows. So I am going to say that when you fill in your brows for the very first time, it is gonna look very dark. It's gonna look very strange. It's gonna look very foreign to you. You're not gonna like it, but the more that you fill in your brows and the more that you do it, the more often that you do it, you're going to wind up getting used to it and it's gonna look a lot more natural to you. I know that when I first started filling in my brows, I did not like it. I thought that it just looked absolutely crazy. It looked too dark on my face. I didn't know what I was doing. It looked like a hot mess, but the more often that I did it and the more products that I tried out, because products are gonna be different for everybody. So the more products that I tried out, I found the ones that worked for me. You're gonna find the ones that work for you, and it's all gonna fall into place, I promise you. So the first thing that I recommend for people who are first starting off and doing their brows, or just, you know, first starting off with makeup, you want to fill in your brows. You want to make your brows look on fleek, if you know what I'm saying. So I suggest that if you're first starting off and you pretty much just want to find your shape, your brows are a little bit on the thick side, I would just go ahead and get a clear brow gel. This one is from Anastasia. You can kind of see it, maybe. So this one, like it states, it's clear and it just has a little wand like this, and you'll pretty much just comb through your brows and it'll give you that nice shape that you want. It's not gonna add any sort of color, it's not gonna add any sort of depth to your brows, but it will add definition. So you will get that shape that you want, but you're not gonna get any color to it. So the next thing that I do recommend, this one is pretty much the same thing as the clear brow gel, except it's tinted. So there is a, mine has been used a lot, forgive me. There are a bunch of different colors for different eyebrows. So what this is pretty much the same thing as the clear brow gel, except it is obviously tinted, so it has color to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys real fast. I'm gonna zoom you guys back in. I'm gonna show you on this brow, because on this one I'm gonna go ahead and do my whole eyebrow routine. So you're just gonna take the little wand and you're gonna do the same thing that you would do with the clear brow gel, and you're just gonna comb through your brows. And this is gonna add like dimension to your brows. It's not gonna be too dark, it's not gonna be too crazy. So if you're just starting off with doing your eyebrows, I highly recommend this. I think that this would be perfect because, like I said, it's not gonna be too dark, it's not gonna be too in your face, and it's gonna give you that nice shape. So you can already see the difference between the brows. You see how this one's just a tad bit darker than this one. Now, when doing your eyebrows, you wanna make sure that you're going a shade or two, depending on how dark your hair is, lighter than your natural hair color. By all means, you can go with a color that is the same as your natural hair color, but it is gonna come off very dark. So if you're just starting off, I highly recommend going about a shade lighter than your natural hair color. That way it's not too prominent on your face. I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I personally do to get my brows. So I use a lot of different products, and you do not have to use every single one of these products. This is just what works for me. Like I said earlier, you guys are gonna find what works for you. So first, what I like to go in with is the Anastasia Brow Definer, and this is in the shade Caramel. My hair is a little bit lighter than it usually is, so this one is perfect for my hair color. It's not gonna be too dark. So what I like to do is I first like to start off on the bottom. So I will just take the pencil and I will just start filling it in very lightly. You don't wanna be too heavy-handed when filling in your brows. So I'll just start filling it in very lightly on the bottom part. And it's okay if you get messy, we are gonna clean this up with concealer afterwards. So you're just gonna wanna follow that shape that you've made. And like I said, you're just gonna wanna kind of like you're coloring a picture. You're just gonna wanna be very light with it. Do not be heavy-handed because it is gonna come off very, very dark. Alright, so once I've done pretty much the outer 3/4 of my brow, I'm going to go ahead and bring it in, and you're going to want to be very, very light-handed when it comes to this part, because when you do your eyebrows, you want to make sure that it's kind of like a gradient effect. Your brows in the front are going to be lighter than the brows in the outer portion. So I'll go ahead and fill it in very lightly, and then I'll kind of just like brush through it with the little spoolie on the opposite end. And like I said, you don't have to worry about making a mess because we are going to clean this up afterwards with concealer. So you see, once you've taken the spoolie and you've kind of brushed through it, it kind of is already giving you that gradient effect. And it's just like, it's lightening it just a little bit because it's getting rid of all of the darkness, and it's kind of just making it flow, like it's making the brow flow in a way. So once I've done that, I like to take the more sharp, pointier side of the brow definer, if you will focus. So this side right here, if you guys have a brow definer, you know what I'm talking about. So this side's a little bit more thick, whereas this side's a little bit more pointy. So I like to take that side, and I like to just make hair-like strokes. So I will very lightly just start going through my brows with that more pointy side, and it's gonna give the illusion that it's hair. So I'll fill it in just a little bit, and then afterwards I'll go ahead and just comb through the bottom just a tad. And I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of darken the spots that lightened a little bit after I ran through it with the spoolie. Alright, so after I've filled in the bottom half, I'm gonna go ahead and start filling the shape of the top half of my brow. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it on pretty much like the outer half, and I'm just gonna start filling in that arch. You can kind of see where I have it in my brow. That's where shape is gonna come into play when it comes to shaping your eyebrows. So, and like I said, it's okay if it's not perfect because we are going to clean it up with concealer. Concealer will be your best friend in this process. And then afterwards, once I've done that, I'm just going to fill in the winged part of the brow. So you want to be very light-handed again when you get to this part, because you don't want it to be too thick on the outer half. So just about like that, and then you're gonna want to just go ahead and fill in the rest of your brow. So I stop generally about right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just draw a line like this. And fill in the rest of my brow. And then afterwards, I like to just take the spoolie again and just run through the front part of my brow. And this is gonna give it that nice gradient effect. It's not gonna come off too harsh in the front because we don't want that. Make sure everything is nice and blended through the brow. So this is the next step that's kind of a little bit unnecessary if you're just starting off with brows, but this, like I said, is what works for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in next with the Anastasia Dark Brown Brow Duo, or Brow Powder Duo. It looks like this. Comes with a lighter side and a darker side, and I'm gonna explain to you what those sides are used for. So I'm just gonna take a little angled brush like this. This is by Anastasia as well. This comes with the, or I think they actually sell it separately, but I used it a lot with my, my brow pomade that I don't really use anymore because I tend to lean more towards a little bit of a natural brow if this looks anything natural to you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that darker shade and I'm gonna dip into it, and I'm going to just kind of darken the outer 3/4 of my brow. So all the little spots in here that look a little bit more sparse, I'm just gonna kind of darken that up with the powder. Alright, so after I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and wipe my brush off just a little bit to kind of get rid of the darkness from the other powder. And I'm going to go ahead and go in with the lighter side now with that same brush. Focus. And I'm going to take just a little bit on there. And I'm going to start filling in the very front of the brow with that. And I'm gonna do it just a little bit because, like I said, you want to make sure that it has a nice gradient effect to it. And then after I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the little spoolie again, and I'm just gonna blend all of that out and make sure that there are no harsh spots on the brow. Alright, so after I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and go in with that clear brow gel that I mentioned earlier. And I'm just gonna comb through the brows. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna keep your eyebrows in place literally all day. It's like eyebrow glue, but it's not gonna make it, like, it's not gonna feel too harsh on your brows. It's just something that's going to keep them have that shape, and it's not going to look too crazy. And at the same time, it's gonna brush through them, kind of make sure that everything is nice and blended together. So the last and final step is concealer. So I'm just gonna take concealer on the back of my hand. It really doesn't matter what concealer that you use. And then I'm going to go ahead and go in with this flat brush right here. Hello, okay. This one right here, I got this one from BH Cosmetics. Now, to me, this brush works the best. It really doesn't matter what brush that you use. You're probably gonna find something that works better for you. But to me, this flat one works the best to make sure that I shape my brows correctly. So I'm gonna take just a very little amount of concealer on the brush like this. And I'm going to go ahead and start on the outer half of my brow. So I'm gonna take the concealer and I'm just gonna very gently clean it up. And you wanna make sure that you are taking your time with this step because it is very easy to mess up and get concealer everywhere. Now, getting it perfect, it's gonna take time, it's gonna take skill, it's gonna take practice. So don't get flustered if you don't get it perfect on the first try. It is gonna take a little bit of time to actually make, it's gonna take time for you to get it all on one try, if you know what I mean. So I'm just gonna take the brush and I'm going to clean up the brow. And then afterwards, I'm gonna go towards the front of my brow. So I'm just gonna take it just like this and clean up and just make that brow look nice and sharp. Alright, so after I've done that, I like to wipe off my brush so that there's not a whole bunch of concealer on it, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and blend out that concealer so it doesn't look super harsh. And then what I like to do in the front is I kind of like to just take it like this, and it'll kind of just, it'll make it not look too sharp, and it'll make it look blended and give you that nice gradient effect that we talked about earlier. After we've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and take some more concealer on that brush, and you're gonna do the same thing. You're not gonna take too much because you don't want it to look all cakey. And I'm going to start from the front of my brow, and I'm literally just gonna shape my brow out, and I'll demonstrate that right now. So I'm gonna take it right here, and I'm literally just going to shape my brow. Just like this. And you wanna make sure that you There's no harsh lines. The concealer is not all up in your brow. I really like this brush because it makes it very easy to get that precise line with the concealer. So afterwards, you're gonna see just a little bit of brow product is gonna get on the end of your brow, and you're just gonna clean that up with the concealer. Some people like to have a super sharp point. It's all personal preference. It does give you a little bit more of a natural brow if you have kind of a little bit more of a thicker point on the end. But that's all, like I said, gonna be personal preference. And then I like to just blend it out a little bit, but I mean, depending on whether or not you like to go in with foundation first or if you like to go in with eyebrows. I start with my eyebrows, so it doesn't really matter to me if I blend out the concealer too much because I am gonna put foundation over it. So I'm just gonna make sure that nothing is too harsh on my brow. Make sure that that curve is all nice. And then what I like to do afterwards, because I do tend to get rid of the end of my brow a little bit, is I like to just take that angled brush again and just very gently draw that back on, just like that. And then I'll take that flat brush and I'll take it like this, and I'll just clean it up a little bit. But I want to make sure I don't get rid of the end of that brow again. So I'm gonna take just a little bit, just like that. And this is the finished product. So everybody's gonna have a different preference when it comes to the angle of your brow. If you're gonna wanna have straight brows, if you're gonna wanna have a little bit more of a higher arch, it's all going to be what you want. So you don't have to follow my shape directly. I just want to show you what I do when it comes to my brows, because I do get a lot of questions. And like I said, these are all the products that I like to use. Pretty much every single one of them are by Anastasia. I feel like she has a very good range when it comes to products, very good color range. And there's all sorts of different things. So you can use a pomade if you would like to. That's gonna give off a little bit more of a darker brow. It's gonna be a little bit more in your face. Using a pencil is gonna be a little bit lighter. It's gonna be a little bit more of a natural brow. Using the Tinted brow gel is going to be, you know, just like this one. It's not gonna be too dark. It's not gonna give you that like Instagram eyebrows or the on fleek eyebrows, but it's gonna be good for people who are just starting off, so it's not too dark. And then the clear brow gel is just gonna give you that shape that you want. If you're like, you know, I don't want to fill in my eyebrows, I think that they're dark enough, I think that they're full enough, I just wanna make sure that they have that nice shape and that they stay like that all day. This one is gonna be good for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys would like to see next. I hope that you guys learned a little bit of something about eyebrows today. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask in the comments below and I'll get back to you guys. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Deuces.